Brackpan at my house is someone we know the voice, we know the face, Howie Combrink. Welcome to Brackpan.
Hey, awesome, man. It's good to be in Brackpan. And for you, welcome to Krugersdorp.
Oh, same place, same people, same
Yeah,
place.
basically, I had load shedding at the studio. So, this is the next best thing.
Okay, yeah, we've had we I don't even care anymore. It just happens and we deal with it at this point. Like it is what it is.
It's a complete way of life. And I spoke to a friend of mine in the UK the other day, and he said something about the power went off for about 30 minutes. He lives in like a small town. The power went off for about 30 minutes. And because of obviously what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine and all of this, the whole town went into a little panic. They were all like, no, this is it. This is the end. And I'm
Wow.
like, guys.
Yeah, but you know what? That's the thing. We've learned to be resilient as South Africans, and have patience, and really, really, really appreciate warm coffee, because
Yes.
and when you can actually make your 2 minute noodles, because sometimes you can't, and that's life.
Exactly. So we just learn to live with it. We work around it and we try and plan our days as best we can.
Okay, so for someone, for maybe who is living overseas and has never ever heard of you, which I highly doubt, who are you? Where are you from? And what have you done?
All right, so I'm going to try and sum this up. My name's Howie Combrink. I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa. I have been making music my whole life. I grew up in a recording studio. My dad had one. And then sort of when I was 18, I just started my own thing. And it has now become my business called the Hit Lab.
Mm-hmm.
So I produce a lot of music for other artists, as well as myself. And I was in a band called Watershed, which is a South African acoustic band. And I was with them for 10 years. That was a good 10 years. I left in November last year because I just felt like I needed to, number one, pursue like humanitarian issues with the NPO that I work alongside. And number two, actually just get my own music out there again and focus on it and start touring again as a solo artist. And, at the end of the day, I really love singing and I wasn't doing enough of it over the last 10 years. And I just felt like I needed to do that. So basically, in a nutshell, I started as a drummer, then became drummer producer, then drummer producer songwriter. And now I'm moving into the realm of a little bit of activism, humanitarian work, giving back a bit and trying to create awareness around important topics.
Yeah. We're definitely going to talk about that because I feel like that is very necessary, especially after the last three years that we've had. But talk to me a little bit about the watershed years because, I obviously you can see my house is black and my hair is dark and we're metal, we're goth, we're hardcore goth metals. But I remember the watershed years because I was in high school, in boarding school in prior to Elfin Park, and Indigo Girl was a big song then. And you could walk through that hostel, that girls' hostel, and every girl was playing Indigo Girl, and every girl was hoping that a boy would play Indigo Girl for her. And it was just one of the biggest songs. And even today, in my old age, I remember it so vividly that I can smell the smells of the hostel. And
Oh,
I
wow.
remember seeing you guys perform like a lot. I remember interviewing Watershed when I was still on kids' TV. Like you guys were everywhere. Tell me a little bit about the madness of that time, because I can only imagine what it must feel like to be that big.
So I joined the band. I'm quite a bit younger than the other guys in the band. And so the band had already been in existence for 10 years before I joined. So I joined sort of on the coming out of the Indigo Girls sort of
Okay.
era. And when I joined, there was still all the hype and still is. Indigo Girls, one of those tracks that if we didn't play it at shows, people wouldn't leave. So it was always on shows. If we did radio features, that was the track we played, that alongside Letters. But then, when I joined the band, because ironically, Watershed was the first live band I'd ever seen in my life, literally 2 kilometers just up the road here. And I loved them as a young person growing up. And when I got the call from Craig one day randomly, I was a little bit like shocked because I tried to do an audition like 5 years prior to that, but I couldn't get into the audition. So I got this call from Craig very randomly saying, would you like to join the band? We've seen you play, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, yeah, and that was great. And we did it for 10 years. We experienced the most insane things, everything from the coolest places to stay, the coolest shows and people. And Watershed's one of those unique cases in South Africa, I think alongside bands like Prime Circle and Just Ginger and even Art Matthews alone as a solo artist. They have this devote fan base that is, you can do it for 10 years like I did, and it still shocks you all the time that how devout these people are and how they show up all the time, regardless of what the situation is, where the show is. I always make a joke. I'm like, and this has not really got anything to do with me and my position in the band. It's actually just the band's legacy. Even before I was in the band, it's like you can put them in a field in the Karoo and people will show up, you know. That that in my opinion is the ultimate version of success with a band. You know, you want people to show up because that's where the money's at. And it was a great time. And you know, the shows were epically long. Sometimes we had such a long show because we loved playing music, you know. So some nights we would just go on and on and on. And in true Watershed fan fashion, they would stick around and they would party all the way to the end. So it was a wild time, many cool shows. But I also felt that I think it was about 2 years ago, just before lockdown, we sold out the Dubai Opera House in Dubai. And I remember walking off that stage and just sort of being like, I think that's good for me. I think I'm good, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I feel like I'm not sure what more would make me feel like it is more, you know. So I almost felt like I'd done my due. I've served my purpose in this band. I want to attempt something else and give the band the respect of saying to them, guys, I won't have time to actually even do this on a part-time basis, you know.
Yeah.
And it was hard. We were back and forthing for about 3 weeks to a month, and you know, eventually had to settle on this decision. And yeah, we are now today. And you know, for the first 2-3 months out of the band, it was weird. I felt I missed the big December tour that we always do, and I watched the December tour on Instagram and stuff, and you know, you feel like you're missing out, and you feel like sure, but that was a part of my life for 10 years. So but I'm super happy now, and I'm super excited to actually just move forward. And you know, doing what I'm doing now is so fulfilling, and I see it's got legs. I feel like it's got legs, and it's something I could probably do for a very long time, you know.
Okay. What
Yeah.
what have you done with all the extra time that you're spending at home, like at home? Because like Muse as artists, you guys are never home. You guys are gone most of the year touring and away. How did
Yeah.
you weather that storm and then go straight into a lockdown?
So we were playing shows, literally touring right up to lockdown. Watershed was an extremely busy band. A lot of people don't know that, because we may not be popular on like radio currently. They're playing the stuff or whatever the thing is, or television, but the fan base is there. So we were touring a hell of a lot right up until lockdown, and we had a big European tour lined up. So for the most part, after school, my home life was minimal. I lived on the road. I had a small place. I have a small place, um, and I'd come back to it maybe 2 or 3 nights a week. And usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays was my time to come home and focus on the studio and the production. So I'd go to the studio then and work for those 2 days, and Thursday we're back on the road.
Sure.
So obviously when lockdown hit, it was a weird feeling, because all of a sudden I was at home now, and it's like, what do you do with your time? What are weekends about? Weekends with tours and shows. So I had to sort of think. I think initially I went into a panic. So I started doing these live stream concerts from this exact place where I'm sitting right now every night on my YouTube channel. And that started building traction, and I started having a good time with that. And then I think I got bored of that as well, because of the lack of engagement, your personal engagement. And I started recording music again, you know, at level 4. I was able to get back into the studio. But I think the thing that, oh yes, and a mate of mine started a terrible podcast that wasn't terrible. We thought it was cool, but no one really. We had 15 viewers a day, which was cool. I enjoyed that. We spoke about politics. We really got in there, you know. And you know, recently I started studying technology now, just as a part-time thing, because I've always been interested in it, and I have time to do it now. So checking out computer science, starting to develop things, building a few platforms, ideas. And we've sort of, throughout the lockdown, we still kept doing the MPO work, with RADA. And that was also you know, during lockdown, we were showcasing some of our sponsors that provide food for the facility. So we'd go in really masked up, and you know, like AGT Foods, for instance, that's a big sponsor of RADA. We'd go in there and actually show the process of how these guys are still maintaining operations throughout COVID and doing good with it, you know. So that's what's been keeping me busy, you know, and working with younger artists. I found that I really got to spend a lot more time with younger artists and help develop younger guys and produce their music and put them out. You know, a guy, particularly Vaughn Prangley,
Mm.
I just think he's such a great young 17-year-old, and we've had a great time together over lockdown, making music and his album and stuff together. So it's been creative, but I got into photography as well. All things creative, photography,
Okay.
videography, not good at any of them. Music's my thing, but it was fun and it was good pastime.
Yeah. Howie, what
Yeah.
was the catalyst for the NPO and giving back? Because I feel like a lot of us, we live a certain way, and then all of a sudden something happens that makes us realize that we have to give back in order to heal or get over or something. Was there a catalyst for you?
Absolutely. And you're so spot on with how you describe that right now, because it's exactly what happened to me. So I started, let me give you I'll try and make this as short and sweet as I can. I met up with John Paul Nobrega backstage of Joburg Day in 2014. And he came to me and said, I've got this idea I want to start an MPO called RADA, and I want to make a difference through music, create awareness through music. So off the bat, I don't know what sort of came over me in that moment. I said, I'm in. I didn't even really know the guy. And then we started discussing this. We put out volume 1, which did cool things. We did the Inspire album, which was there to just uplift people, also did cool things. But I think I've always been involved with RADA from its inception. But I think where the catalyst was for me was that time at home, sitting at home and observing the world outside and watching how people's livelihoods deteriorated and how people are actually struggling. Because, when you're traveling and touring, you are almost kept away from these environments. So I was able to go on the ground with the RADA team and see what they're doing and how effective is the work that we're doing. But I think the catalyst was I dropped a single called Believe in 2017. And this is where I thank particularly Jacaranda FM, because they really punted the song for me. And it went I think to like number 2 on your big Saturday charts or something. And you guys really supported the single along with other stations and stuff. And fast forward 18 months to 24 months after that, around 2020, yes, it was probably the beginning of last year, we got this royalty check from that song. And this royalty check was able to really assist and facilitate the build of a facility called Simonier ECDA, which is one of the 18 homes that RADA looks after.
Yeah.
And we took like money that is like this passive income a song had made from being played on radio and television, all these things. And we're like, holy, we've got money to put back in. The music is working. It's not only creating awareness, it's creating royalties.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awesome, because, so I think the idea of South African artists struggling with royalty collection is no secret to anyone. So, I don't think I have to hide that fact. And I didn't think that these royalties would come through in the way that they did. And I believe that there was potentially some or other higher power that really facilitated the mechanics, and we got these royalties in a really large way. And it made such a big difference on the ground physically. So that was the first catalyst. And then a few months after that, I went away with them with the RADA crew to go and we wanted to go and do some food parcels and stuff in a little small town called Philippolis in the Free State. And I spent 3 days with the actual RADA team, all the people that are involved. And this is we all knew each other. We all had a long-standing relationship. But this 3-day trip to Philippolis was particularly special. It was almost as if they helped me come to my senses with all of this. And I realized, being this artist on stage, it's actually quite an egotistical thing. And I want to remove that. I want to use the arts to develop a platform where I can encourage people to think in a different way and to, move through life differently, and not particularly see me as an artist of fame or whatever the case is, more as an artist of like, this guy's putting out a good message, man. And we should support that, because we need conversations around the good in life. News is always negative.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to speak about the good things. And as artists, we need to get on this platform, and we need to use that platform for the right and for the good, and to make a difference, especially in a country like South Africa, where people are starving, literally. So I think it was just the synergy of the royalties that came through from Believe and all of that. It was just magical. It was a magical moment for me. It's kind of surreal and bigger than anything I'd done in music in my life before.
And a very affirming moment. Like, yes, you were on the right track. Yes, this is what you should be doing.
Absolutely.
You created that moment within the ether or the universe or whatever you believe in.
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
did that. Talk to me a little bit about RADA. So, what is it exactly that you guys do? How do you help through music?
Okay, so RADA's got various fields of expertise. What RADA stands for is rape, alcohol, drugs, and abuse, and that's essentially the core of what we focus on. But rape has many divisions, alcohol has many divisions, abuse has many divisions. So these things expand out and they branch out into many different problems. So what RADA does fundamentally is they've got this like adopt a home program that they do. So they go and they find maybe orphanages or old age homes or something similar that are sort of on the edge, struggling, really just not getting by. They go in, they assess the situation, they adopt a home and take over feeding responsibilities or housing responsibilities or bedding responsibilities. In some cases, transport, in some cases, education. So that's basically what we do. And my position in the organization is to facilitate the music of it. I
Okay.
facilitate the creation of the music, and I do go on the ground and work with the organization and help and assist where I can. I always make the joke saying if they need someone to sweep the floor, just call me. I'm there. I'll do it. But my main priority and my main focus is to create songs like my new single that can go out to the world, that can circulate, they can be on radio, they can generate royalties, and hopefully just bring back something that we can put back into the kids and the older people that are in the old age homes. And I mean, there's many areas as to where the money goes,
Yeah.
but it makes a huge difference. So that's my job. I just write songs, produce them, record them, source artists, build and form relationships with artists. And we have so many artists that are devoted to the cause. It's a beautiful thing, to be a part of. And I really love spending time with these guys, and you really see, you get to know artists from the audience perspective, like really, I mean, Claire, like people like Claire Johnson, for instance, that have been involved in some of the collaboration stuff we've done. I'd never met her before, and she walked into my studio, and I'm a huge Mango Groove fan. So I was a little bit like, okay, how are we going to do now? We're doing this humanitarian thing together.
Yeah.
Another one, Timothy Malloy as well. The first time I met him, I was super like, it was daunting because I got so much respect for the guy and what he's done and what he does do. And I realized that these people are so beautiful. Their hearts are so beautiful and their minds are in the right place and they want to make a difference. And that makes the whole process easier. So in a nutshell, I take care of the music side of RADA as well as make my own music for RADA.
Okay. Before we talk about your new single, I want to just touch on the giving back aspect of things because I think a lot of people when we say charity and NPO kind of roll our role like I don't have time, whatever. I think what people don't realize is that giving back and working with an NPO, whether it's animals, children, dogs, rape crisis centers, whatever it is inherently selfish because yeah, you're giving of your time, but you walk away so much happier, so much better, so much more fulfilled. It helps
Absolutely.
you so much more than it helps other people. And
Absolutely.
I'd love for you to maybe talk on that to maybe allow people into that world and understand a little bit of like, what do you get out of it? Like, why should we be helping more? How is it helping you?
So how it's helping me is it's grounding. It grounds you. You've got the glamorous version of charity where you go to these high profile events and it's just
Dinners.
millions of dollars,
Yeah.
crazy dinners. And they'll raise funds, they'll raise $10 million funds. You've
Yeah.
got that version of charity. And then you've got the version of charity. I mean, yes, RADA does have their slightly more, corporate orientated events in order to attract that kind of sponsor or whatever the case may be. But we do a lot of groundwork. We are in the homes, we are filming videos, we are building relationships with some of the kids in some of the homes, in some of the safe houses. But I think the best way to describe this is based on experience. I'll give you I'll take you back to this fella Polis trip, and we went to a little place that we were busy looking at just to see whether or not we will be able to adopt the it was like a daycare center within one of the rural communities. And we went in with a bunch of boxes of toys and all these things, you know, things like skipping ropes and sure, tons of toys, like little piano things and all sorts of kids' toys. And we took this box of toys into the room, you know, and typical privileged people from big cities with means and jobs, and you know, we expected these kids to know what all this stuff was, but they didn't. They had no idea what a skipping rope was, and
Yeah.
they were shocked by it, and they looked at these boxes and they sort of got scared and they moved away from the boxes. And I looked at this and I was like, oh my word, they've never seen toys. So I went to the lady and I said, have these kids never seen a toy in their lives? And she says, not like this, no. And in that moment I became very emotional, and I realized this is unbelievable. These they've never seen a toy and they're 10 years old. I mean, that shouldn't be the case in this life. And you know, and when I gave this girl a skipping rope and we tried to show her how to use it, she got it right. Then she took the skipping rope eventually and she ran around the corner. And I was like, where is she going with the skipping rope? And we sort of I walked around the corner. I didn't want to disturb her, and I peeped and I saw, and she had sussed the skipping rope thing out and she was killing it. And she was laughing and smiling. And the one lady from the home came to me and said to me, you know, they've never seen a kid in this orphanage have a reaction like that. She looks legitimately happy for once. And I think that was one moment that I realized this is we've got to do this for more people out there. We have too much, you know, we just have too much, and that's not correct. There's too much inequality. There's too much unfair financial behavior going on in the world. And I mean, that conversation is something that you can have for hours, but you know, more specifically, in the smallest way, a box of toys makes the biggest difference in someone's life, you know, and that was the game changer for me. And you go into these places and you see the circumstances and you just want to make a difference. You want to make their lives better. You know, if they're not sleeping on beds, let's make a plan. Let's get them beds. Let them just sleep on a bed. I think every human at least deserves that, you know.
Yeah.
So for people that might shy, you know, I understand the hostility towards certain NPOs. I completely get it, because there are companies out there that do take advantage of these funds, and the funds don't particularly get to the source in the right way. Where RADA is different, it is a proper 100% NPO, and we have people on the ground that's job is just to make sure that the resources get from A to B unaffected, unstolen, for a lack of better words. We make sure that the stuff gets delivered, and that is the important thing. That is our primary focus, to make sure that there is a tangible difference being made. It's not just smoke and mirrors.
Okay, so now we've spoken about the charity, we've spoken about you as an artist, your career, where you came from. Let's talk about your latest single.
Yes.
Tell me everything. Tell me all of it.
Oh man, so I actually co-wrote this song with Craig from Watershed, him and myself, because we're still very good friends and we still write music together every week. We're currently busy writing a song right now. He sent it to me yesterday evening. So we co-wrote it together, and then I took this idea of the song that we had, and I sat with John Paul Nobreger, the CEO of RADA, and we discussed this concept intensely, as to how can we portray the story. And one evening I was listening to the track and I came up with this crazy idea for a video, where basically in 4 minutes we needed to showcase a girl going from a tormented, abused past, and basically taking self-responsibility, being self-aware, and accepting the fact that she had been abused and what she had gone through, and then she could start opening up. You know, it's all about actually just acknowledging that this is going on within yourself. And when you do, you can invite other people in, or you can actually just address it yourself. So we made this crazy cool video that took a while to make. It was hard, because I directed it with a friend of mine, Ricky, together. And we had an awesome actress called Risa Jean Boertes, who really, she told the story in the best way possible. And things happened on set that was so cool. It was like impromptu things. And I was like, yes, this is it. This is what it's about, you know? So that was the birth of the song, the idea. And then once we had eventually got it into a space where we felt, after hours of conversation and also reworking, I think I did about 5 or 6 different vocal takes on the lead vocal just to
Wow.
ensure that we're happy with it and that it's portraying the message in the right way. So hopefully it's doing that. I at least think I do. And that's the song. It's cool. It's got this acoustic undertone because that's what I do. I'm an acoustic guy. But it's also got a bit of like big tribal drums and strings and epicness, you know. I think when you're talking about epic topics, you have to showcase a little epicness within the music. So that's I See You. Basically, it's a cool story that is a hard story to acknowledge, but I'm just saying to people out there in the world, and you know what? We can even relate this to the South African music industry because a few of my friends have passed over the last few months, and some on suicide things, and it's because they're not feeling seen, they're not feeling appreciated. So it's a dedicated to everyone that is feeling like not worth anything. You know, this is a dedication saying, you know, at least I see you. I'm trying to tell you that I see you, man. And all my friends know they can pick up the phone and phone me at any time. I'm no expert in these things, but I'm here. We can talk. Tell me your problems. I think that is the idea of the song. We need more time for each other as humans in a time like this.
We've lost connection with each other. We're community driven animals. We want to be part of a greater community. And
Yeah,
especially with lockdown, we've lost that completely. And that's why we're all so anxious and not sleeping and isolated and drinking so much and numbing and doing all
yeah,
of the things we shouldn't be doing when all we need to do is talk.
exactly. Because conversations are so uplifting.
Yeah.
They really are the right kind of conversation, you know, with an amicable group of people that just understand that everyone has opinions. Allow them to have that opinion, you
Yeah.
know. Let's not
And you
hate each
don't
other.
have to you don't have to break up the friendship if you disagree. My best friend and I have violent arguments about certain things. She is so left and I am so right, and it is just there is no middle ground at all. But it is really good to have those conversations because we learn about each other's sides, and we learn to converse and listen as
Yeah.
opposed to listen with the intent of answering.
Absolutely, man. And that's so awesome to hear. I've also got friends like that that get this conversation thing. I think you know Ricky, one of my friends. And it's lovely. It's lovely to have people like that where you can be brutally honest.
Yeah.
And they like, yo, I don't agree, but let's go and have a drink. We
But I
cool.
also don't hate you and I'm not breaking up with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man.
Okay, so Howie, where do we find you? How do we follow what you're doing with RADA? Tell me where we can go.
Okay, so you can get me on my website, howiecombrink.com, or Instagram, Howie_HC, and then all the rest are just Howie Combrink if you search on any of the others, except Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, guys. I'm on Twitter. Listen, I'll say I'm on Twitter, but I've posted, I think the one was like an animation of me running with a few lions, which was epic. And the other one was of a blue crane. So that's my tweet. Not Twitter. What's the other one?
TikTok.
TikTok. Sorry, TikTok.
TikTok. Okay. No, I'm
I'm
on
on
TikTok.
Twitter.
TikTok is great. Twitter is very, very aggressive and
It is.
angry. And like
Yeah.
everyone who is angry with the world goes there to be angry together. And I just find
Yes.
it not conducive energy for my life at the moment.
Well, that's good. I'm going to take your advice on that. I'm going to do a Twitter detox because I get triggered, man. I get
Oh,
triggered on.
no. Good. Walk away. That little blue bird will miss you. Like, it's good. It's fine.
Yeah, and then to get hold of RADA, rada.co.za, and you can just search RADA Healing on any of the video platforms like YouTube and stuff. My music videos up on YouTube. Please go and have a look at it. You know, even if you don't like it, just give it a little heart.
And stream it, 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 stream it. Download it, share it, make TikTok dances with it. Do like make it popular, make it trend, because in doing that, you're helping.
Absolutely, man. And thank you for saying that. That is awesome. I appreciate that.
Howie, thank you for your time. This was a really great
Absolutely.
conversation.
Yes, and hopefully we have more in the future. And I look forward to just seeing where all of this goes in the future. It's early days for us, and thank you for the support. And you know, Jacaranda and you guys have made a huge difference already just by doing what you do. So thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you must use your platform for good. Howie, thank you
Awesome.
so much for your time, dude. And I will send you all of this as soon as I get it back from video.
Awesome. Lekker, man. Thank you. Have a good
Awesome.
evening.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Jacaranda FM.